What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training. And today we're going to be breaking down 5 beginner wide receiver tips that are going to help you guys take your game to the next level, okay? So now, hope this video helps you guys out. If you guys have any kind of video feedback or other content you guys would like to see next, please don't hesitate to leave those suggestions in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback, and it's always great to hear from you guys. You guys help the channel keep going and keep rolling, so we 100% appreciate it. So now, first tip for wide receivers, beginner wide receivers, is do not worry about steps at the top of the route. You want to worry about 2 things, and that is selling fade, and that is dropping down violently and explosively. So a lot of people will tell you that at the top of the route, especially if you're a beginner wide receiver, you don't want to worry about this. As you progress, yes, you can worry about eliminating extra steps, but it's all about eliminating wasted time at the top of the break. So many wide receivers get so caught up in steps that, I have to take 3 steps at the top of the break. I could get out in 2 steps. I don't have to take 3 steps. And what they end up doing is they slow down right before the break point, and that is one of the biggest indicators that you can give to a DB. A DB is going to be looking at a few things. He's going to be trying to read your speed, and he's going to be reading your pad level, right? And noticing your stride length. So what a lot of receivers will do is when they get up to the top of the route, they don't trust their hips to slow them down. They slow their speed down because they're so worried about taking a perfect 3 steps. They're so worried about going 1, snapping down, taking the 2nd step, breaking off the 3rd step, and then getting out of this route. But in reality, most wide receivers, there's probably maybe like less than 5% of wide receivers can get out of these breaks 15 yards downfield in 3 steps. Most wide receivers take 5 steps if it were to be a comeback. They'll go snap, that's the 1st step, 2nd step, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and then they're out of the break. And taking 5 steps is 100% fine if you guys are focused on creating energy at the top of the break and selling fade to get the DB out of there. What do you think is going to get more separation? Do you think a guy who slows down and lets the DB slow down and get your tempo and be all over you is going to get more separation, or a guy who's selling fade, forcing the DB to run full speed downfield and then having a violent change of direction that creates energy to shoot him out of the route? The second one, obviously, right? So if you could take 5 steps faster than somebody can take 3, it does not matter the amount of steps that you take. What matters is the amount of time that you eliminate at the top of the route, how well you can self-fade to get this DB out of there, and that energy that you create because you're running full speed and you have that explosive hip drop that can accelerate you out to win the race to the ball. So first tip for beginner wide receivers, do not worry about steps at the top of the break. Worry about eliminating time. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job selling fade, using the hip drop, taking the right amount of steps, and then breaking out of this route. So now, second tip for beginner wide receivers is how you can get a more explosive press release against a press coverage DB. But before we get into that, fellas, I want to talk to you about a great opportunity we are having this offseason. We are traveling out to 8 different cities across the U.S. for 2-day-long quarterback and wide receiver training camps. So if you guys want some more information on our training camps, check out that very first link in the description below, fellas. We're coming out to Houston, Texas, Newark, New Jersey, Atlanta, Georgia, Columbus, Ohio, Chicago, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, Nashville, Tennessee, and Los Angeles, California. So for these camps, I wouldn't even consider them camps. It's more like clinics. We're limiting it to only 10 to 12 spots per position group, per age group. So again, it's going to be a lot of detailed coaching because we have you for 4 hours for 2 days. So that's 8 hours total of training. 3 hours each day is going to be dedicated to specific drills, specific coaching techniques to help your guys' skill improve. And then that final hour each day will have DBs out there for wide receivers to work one-on-one situations, realistic one-on-one situations, and routes versus air. So if you're a quarterback or wide receiver, want to get some work in with myself and my staff of coaches that all have D1 level experience, played in the NFL, or are very, very successful trainers in their area, check out that very first link in the description below, fellas. We'd love to have you out. All the information is there. Again, 8-city First Down Training QB wide receiver camp tour. Let's get back to this video. So now, second tip for wide receivers, how can you get a more explosive press release? So the second thing that you can do is learn how to take a prep step before your release. Okay, so let's watch this clip full speed. So this wide receiver is going to be doing a little slide release off the line, and you have to be explosive to get you out of there. Now, the thing that's going to get you this explosive release, and we're not even going to worry about the slide release because the slide is a more advanced thing. Some of you might know what it is, some of you might not. But for beginner wide receivers, what so many guys do is they lack explosion off the line. But they were also told that any kind of step with your front foot is a false step. If you were running a route, like let's say this DB was off in zone coverage, like 10 yards off, you would obviously want to just explode, and the first step through would be your right foot. But if you're working a press release, you got to have some kind of momentum and some kind of balance. So they call this a prep step or a gather step. So you see how he takes this little step with the front foot. That step, all that does is that gives him kind of some balance with his lower half, and it gives him some explosion to where he could push off of this step and explode to the outside. That step right there is what shoots him and shoots him out wide to move this DB off the platform. You could do that step on any kind of like outside release type concept, or when you're just doing maybe a single step. Like let's say this DB is a little bit closer in press. Maybe he's like outside shade, for example, and you want to take one step at him with your back foot. You wouldn't just stand there flat-footed, take a step, and then go off because you wouldn't have any explosion. You would take a little prep step like he does with his front foot, and you'd push off of that prep step. You would push off of this thing, and you could throw a one step, you could throw a couple steps, but it gives you more balance and it puts you more under control off that line of scrimmage to generate force and to have some explosion. So second tip for beginner wide receivers, when you are working a press release, make sure that we do a little prep step to move that DB off the platform to give us some explosion and to give us balance in case he decides to shoot hands at me. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Textbook prep step to give this wide receiver some more explosion off that line of scrimmage. So now, third thing that I want all beginner wide receivers to understand, you do not have to take the type of release to the type of breaking route that it is. So for example, if you're running an outside route like a corner route, you do not always have to take an outside release when you are facing press coverage, okay? I want to get that across to everybody. You want to trust yourself at the top of the route and be a more QB-friendly wide receiver. So let's talk about this. So this route right here is going to be a corner route. I'm going to play it full speed, and we have outside shade press coverage. So let's watch it full speed. So outside shade, he does a good job of taking the inside release, restacking, giving a move, and giving that quarterback space to throw him open. So when you have an outside shade guy like this, why is he outside shade? Number one, that's what you want to think about. He's outside shade because he does not want to give up the outside. His number one goal is to not let you get the outside release. So if you try to force it, if you have a coach that tells you, hey, it's an outside route, you got to take an outside release. There are some times where there are play concepts where you must outside release. However, those play concepts, you're probably not getting the ball, right? Because your job is to run the guy out of the play. So if you have a route where you can get the ball like a corner route against man coverage, if you try to force the outside release, he will do whatever it takes to not let you get it. So even if you set him up with a good release inside, he will still sit to the outside. He will get right into your hip and jam you to the sideline, and the sideline will be here, you'll be here, and you'll break off the corner with maybe like 2 yards for that quarterback to lead you, and that is not being a quarterback-friendly wide receiver. You have to take what he gives you. So this receiver does exactly that. He hits him with like a little bit of a split release, maybe a little step to the outside. Release could definitely be better here, but all we want to do is just freeze him. So I could take the inside release and avoid him getting hands to jam. He's giving us the inside release because he has safety help. If he has safety help over the middle, he's cool with us running a post route because that'll go right into his safety if we force the inside release. So we got to give him something to the outside, and my number one goal should be to restack. So if I have to run that outside route, I'm either restacking, or if he plays it well and he's like maybe a yard or two ahead of me, I could always throw him by and slip back underneath and run the route. So you got to make sure, fellas, third tip for beginner wide receivers, do not force your routes based on the specific type of route it is. React to the coverage and react to the leverage of that DB playing you. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job setting him up outside, freezing him, working to restack, giving that move. And again, he has plenty of space for that quarterback to lead him and throw him open. Okay, so now, fourth tip for wide receivers is when you attack zone coverage, you have to know when to attack the blind spot and when to attack the inside. So this is pretty much just all beginner wide receivers. If you're at a younger age, you're going to see zone coverage more often than you see man coverage. So we have to know how to attack it. So we're looking at a 10-yard out route here from Odell Beckham Jr. So what a beginner wide receiver can learn from this is just how to attack leverage when the DB is in zone. Okay, so now let's play this thing full speed. So how do we know this DB is in zone? Facing the quarterback, eyes to the quarterback, his hip is pointed towards me, and that's how we know he's in zone. When he is like this, I know you can't really see him, but when he is like this and he's turned to the inside and his eyes are looking to the inside, looking at the number 2 receiver, looking at the quarterback, whatever it is, that's how we know it's zone. If he were to be more squared up and his hips were facing me, and he was looking at me, that's how we know it's man. But when he's in zone like this, a lot of people automatically just assume, oh, okay, I want to attack blind spot. That's what they call this. But you got to know what to do for each type of route, right? So if it's an outside breaking route and he's outside leverage zone, which is usually what we get, when he's outside shade zone like this, we want to attack the inside shoulder because I'm trying to make him think inside route. I'm trying to get him to flip his hips so I can maybe slip back under. right? If I wanted to do a post route, he's outside shade for what reason? Trying to force me to a safety help because it's zone. So what I would do then is I would want to angle my stem, try to threaten him to the blind spot like we talked about, and then he's going to widen because we're essentially attacking his leverage, and then we can break it right off. It's all the same principles, fellas. It's just a little bit different when it's man and when it's zone because of what the defense is trying to accomplish. Maybe there's a higher pass rush or whatever it is. But we got to understand as a beginner wide receiver how to attack zone coverage and how to attack their specific leverage. So let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great example from Odell on how to run that 10-yard speed out versus an outside shade zone coverage DB. Okay, so now, last but not least, we're looking at another clip here from Odell, and we're going to be talking about how wide receivers can make every catch. So for beginner wide receivers, the fifth thing, you got to have a good trigger phrase in your head when you are in practice or in training to work on your catching skills. So let's watch this catch from Odell. So he goes up and high points this ball. Main thing I want to focus on is how he's able to look this thing in. You look at his eyes, the only thing in his line of vision, he's not worried about the defender. He's not worried about anything else. He's not worried about getting his feet down. He is solely worried about the ball. What I tell my wide receivers is, hey, you want to pretend your eyes are a camera and you want to take a picture of the ball. So that ball's thrown up, you want to take a picture of the ball with your eyes. That means it's like a self-portrait. Like here's a picture. You only thing in the line of vision is the person in the self-portrait, right? So that's how you want to be with the football, and that's how you can ensure that you don't drop a pass. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, focus on the stripe of the ball. You know, maybe they number the football and you have to call it the number and try to see if you see laces or no laces. Whatever process is in your head, you need to have that on repeat in practice, in training. So when it comes time to a game, you can't think about this in a game. I'm going to tell you that right now. But it can be an automated habit, and that's why drill work and training is so important for wide receivers. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great example of how to take a picture of that ball with your eyes and put that thing right away. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope this video helped you guys out and gave you some value on just some, bigger things that are great things that beginner wide receivers can do to help their skills improve. And again, fellas, if you'd like to come out to one of our 8 off-season camps that we are hosting this year, we're coming out to Houston, Newark, Atlanta, Columbus, Chicago, Dallas, Nashville, or Los Angeles. It's great for any level of wide receiver to help their skills improve. We'll be splitting the camp up into a youth section and a high school and college section, so you'll be working with guys your own age, own competition level when we get DBs out there. So again, I really want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you want some more information on our camps, we'd love to have you out. Very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.